Заслуженный профессор Франции, кавалер ордена академических пальм, лауреат премии мира и духовного согласия Республики Казахстан из Франции, Парижа, Фишлер Альбер имеет приветственное слово. Пожалуйста.
Я очень приятно. Извините, я говорю по-русски чуть-чуть, но я говорю по-английски. A persistent language, Олжасе Сулейменов. I don't have answer to all questions, but I haven't lead to people, even though I could have. This is one of your poems addressed to young people. You penned these lines, dear Oljas, with dazzling audacity. This perfectly reveals your astonishing personality, which I highlighted in 27 in a study translated by Valery Tolmashov and entitled A Poet Between Two Worlds. For you are accustomed to handling and playing with words and sounds. Have constantly allowed your inspiration to emerge between your beloved Asia and the rest of the world, particularly France, and that touched me. You, who have already refused to appear as an inspired poet, prophet, and therefore a spiritual guide, have thus affirmed a remarkable intellectual honesty that we have noticed many times during numerous encounters, particularly with the writer Sabit Dosanov, who unfortunately left us recently. So, today, with this mindset, you, the tireless researcher and discoverer of the roots of the Kazakh language, your highly original research has enabled you to turn your attention to resymbolize the conflict between order and disorder in writing ancient Egypt. That is between life and death for you by comparing this ancient symbol which called the law of Osiris. You are constantly striving to discover the origin of the Kazakh language. I realize that your approach here is similar of that of French language, who especially from the 19th century as Émile Littré sought to understand the roots of the French national language through ancient language. This tireless quest for the roots of language that you two, dear Oljas, pursue with such determination can be explained by the fact that a poet constantly fascinated by science, you are ever sensitive to the allegories that shape the world, thus echoing the word of the French philosopher Alain at the beginning of the 20th century. Language is that magnificent space that stretches from the depths of music to the heights of algebra. This grandiose panorama covered by the language appealed to you all the more because Abai himself insisted in his 25 reflections in prose, written in 1819, on the spiritual acquisition of the treasure, that is the language of the people, but also that of another nation in order to become its equal and not beg it indignantly. Finally, your perseverance in your linguistic research leads you to assert that Turkology must discover roots in a much earlier period that previously thought and in a very new direction, since your study traces them back to Egyptian hieroglyphic and what you call the law of Osiris. This important hypothesis in your research should encourage the scientific community, and in particular, the new generation of researchers in Kazakhstan. No, not hesitate to examine this aspect and not, as you say, to remain within the usual premise concerning Turkish language. While we wait for this new generation to emerge, we can already say that a conference such the one that brings us together today is likely to encourage people to embark in the two powerful calls emerged from your significant contribution. The first is that the young generation of linguists should question the origin of the Kazakh language without preconception. The second, that these efforts lead to establishment of a new Turkology in order to enable the Kazakh language to play a more significant role in the international linguistic arena. To conclude briefly, allow me to recall what you vividly expressed in the end of your study on the work of one of your brilliant predecessor, Mohammed Utemisuli, if you live, we live. Well, you linguists specializing in Turkish language, bring the antiquity and originality of your national language to live it through your dynamic research, show how effectively it fits into the corpus of international language and your country, which already plays a significant role in the global geopolitics, will also be able to assert its vitality at the linguist level. And in Russian language, I tak молодой исследователь за работу.
Thank you.